Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I'm here today with the founder, the owner of Caiman in Pantanal, this safari lodge, beautiful safari lodge. So here is Roberto Clavin. And then Giulio is joining us. He's the environmental manager. So we have a good team. You're going to love it. It's going to be much more in depth than what I could have shown you before. And Giulio, if you want to start the presentation, we are ready for you.
Okay, here.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Can I start now, Dominique?
Yes, Roberto, we are ready for you.
Well, okay. Well, thank you very much, Dominique, for inviting me to be part of this webinar. Thank you for all the friends that are viewing this. So I would like to start presenting myself. My name is Roberto Clabin. I am 70 years of age. I am the founder of Caiman Pantanal, and I was going to explain you a little bit about the Pantanal, where the Pantanal is located, what was the history behind this project, all the stages that I went through in order to get to this project that is quite interesting because it's a project based on collaboration. And I started this in 1985, 86 without absolutely no idea of how to operate in tourism. But I had one thing in my mind, which was conservation. So let's go for the next picture. Pode ir, Júlio. Okay, so guys, in order for you to understand where the Pantanal is located, the Pantanal is part of our 6 biomes in Brazil. We have Amazonia, Caatinga, Cerrado, Mata Atlântica, Pampas, which is not nominated here in the south of Brazil, and Pantanal. Pantanal is the smallest biome of Brazil, and it has an area of, in square miles, 85,000 square miles. You could put inside the Pantanal 4 European countries. You could put Portugal, you could put Switzerland, you could put Holland and Belgium inside the Pantanal. Practically 85% of the Pantanal is located in Brazil. A little bit of it it's in Paraguay and Bolivia. The Pantanal is this huge wetland, is the largest inland tropical wetland of the world. And the whole system there works on the water cycle, the seasons of drought and rain, and that's how it works. So this place is a huge wetland that is being conserved throughout these many years because of big ranches. Let's go for the next slide. Próximo.
Oi.
Yeah. So basically, this slide shows this ranch. We have Caiman. You can see to your right where is Caiman, the property I own. But this place was part of a much larger ranch that used to belong to my family. My family acquired this ranch from British investors that started this place in 1912. So we stayed with it until they acquired, my extended family acquired this in 1950. We stayed with it until more or less 1983. And then we divided it amongst ourselves. And I got this part. And my idea was to develop something different in terms of exploring the Pantanal, because the Pantanal until then was known as a place for cattle ranching. Tourism was basically non-existent. But my idea was to combine 3 activities: tourism, wildlife observation tourism, conservation through rewilding projects, and keeping the cattle ranching. So this is how I started the whole thing in 1985. And basically, you can see here that this idea of having this 3 basic ideas of combining these 3 activities. Later on, because I started joining the Long Run, which is an organization that works with tourism that want to have a very good impact on land and conservation, they added this the 4 Cs, which is conservation, commerce, community, and culture. And this helps me bring all these ideas together. The wildlife observation, tourism, conservation, and cattle ranching. And so that's how I created the whole thing. And I started operating in 1987 with absolutely no idea of what I was starting. I went to Africa, several countries in Africa. I got inspired there. Actually, the place that inspired me was Mala Mala in 1986 when I was there. And then I brought the idea and developed this adaptation to Brazil, to the Pantanal. And basically, I think that the most important thing was to hire young guys, bilingual guides with a degree in biology, zoology, so they could translate, interpret the Pantanal to my guests. And the first guests were all foreigners. Brazilians were not aware of the Pantanal. Próximo. So, as I explained, I started developing the place to have one lodge, which was occupying the house that used to belong to my family when we had the big ranch. So this was the, let's say, the mansion. And I turned that mansion into the first lodge. And then I started building satellite lodges. One is called Baiazinha, the other one is called Cordillera, and I started concentrating everything in Casa Caiman. So this project that you are just viewing here actually is a development of the first lodge. This one here actually is a house that combines two houses, the old mansion and my previous house. I brought them together, and we have now 18 rooms to accommodate all the people there in this area. Besides that, let's go to the next one. Próximo, Júlio. Let's see some photos of the whole thing. Yeah. Besides that, we have this private villa, which is called Baiazinha. A smaller lodge. It's all you have everything there, the kitchen, all the infrastructure, and people can stay in this place. It has six rooms, and it's more, let's say, into a very wild area of the ranch. So this was built in 1994, and then I built another house which was called Cordillera, and then I decided later on to demolish this house because I considered that it was no good in terms of quality, and I built this new one that you're just seeing here in this photo, the new private villa. This is a new lodge which is called Cordillera. It has 7 rooms. Again, it's far away from Casa Caiman. When you look at the map of Caiman, it's important to notice that the main house, which is Casa Caiman, the one that combines the two houses, is far away from these 2 satellite lodges, far away from Baiazinha, 8 kilometers, and far away from Cordillera, the new one, around 15 kilometers. So each house has its own kitchen, its own infrastructure. So people stay in these places, and this is a buyout home like Baiazinha. So it's we are developing different stays in Caiman, from FITs to groups, and they can occupy all these places. So Cordillera has just inaugurated, and I'm very proud of it. So let's continue. So the point that is more important is that I created all these things at that time when I had in mind that I wanted to protect the Pantanal because the first time I was there in the Pantanal, I was 10 years of age, and I went with my parents. And when I arrived there, I found the place so beautiful, so interesting. And I could never understand why the adults would always, be mentioning just cattle ranching, productivity in cattle ranching. But the beauty of the place was not really considered. And I was always intrigued by that. Why don't they value this? And I said, one day I will change this. One day I will add beauty to the whole picture here. So when the big ranch was divided, and I had this idea of developing these three pillars of development of the Pantanal, in a way, they are based in memory, and memory for me is fundamental. So I said, I'm going to create a private reserve inside my area of 53,000 hectares of land, or 130,000 acres of land. And I'm going to keep that as pristine as I saw it when I was 10 years of age. And the rest of the ranch will be used for several activities like tourism and cattle ranching and conservation, but this area will be totally protected. And when you look at this image here, you see this image that is the white, total white. It has stripes, but the area that is completely white is this first reserve that I created inside my ranch. So that was one way to protect it. And then I started receiving inside Caiman many scientists and people that were going inside this reserve, studying the reserve. And then I understood that, well, I have these people here. I want to develop this kind of wildlife observation tourism, but I am not known. I don't, nobody knows about me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start inviting wildlife and rewilding projects to Caiman, inside Caiman. I will offer them a base. They can establish themselves inside Caiman. I offer them the possibility of studying the animals there, and this is going to be good for everybody, for the animal that's being studied, for the projects, and for me, my lodge. So we will have this combination of activities, collaboration, and I will start to be known. And that happened, talking about since 1990 when I started this. And the evolution of this was finally an idea that came from my wife and I. We wanted to create a legacy out of the property. So we are already starting to separate an area of the property to be as independent from the rest of Caiman for the future. And we call it IMARC, which is Instituto Maria Angela, my wife, and Roberto Clabin. And the idea is to, as you can see in this map, it has a third of the ranch, more or less, and this will be separated. Of course, it's all together, but when we die, this place is completely out of the possibility of family changing the land use and everything. So this is our legacy. So we are creating this and creating a big ecological corridor that connects Caiman to other properties that I'm going to explain to you a little bit later. So this is the idea, and let's go to the next one. Vamos, próximo. Pode ir, Júlio. And so here, talking a little bit about the projects that I partner with. The first one was the Hyacinth Macaw project, this institute that came there to Caiman. And when they arrived in Caiman, they estimated a population of 49 individuals there. This animal was threatened by extinction in the Pantanal especially because of poaching. The animal is a very specific animal. It eats only two kinds of seeds. It nests only in two kinds of trees. So it's a very complicated animal, and this animal was disappearing. I invited this institute to come to Caiman. I offered them a base. I built them a base there, and they started installing artificial nests in order to increase the amount of nests for these animals, because I said that they only nest in two trees. And one of these trees is considered a pest by ranchers. So they cut the tree down, and the animal has less and less areas to nest. So she started developing these artificial nests, and you can see here, basically, she had 50 nests between natural and artificial, and only 12 chicks came out. And so you see here the evolution. It's a very sensitive animal, and so it's very complicated. But this is something that is incredible because she said from the 49 individuals that you had when we started this project in 1993, 94, I don't recall.
Yeah.
Till now, we have now 700 individuals that come into Caiman during the mating season. So this is just incredible, amazing. I believe this is the most important project inside Caiman. Next one. Próximo. The turquoise fronted Amazon project doesn't have a base there, but this animal also is very it's very complicated, the situation of this animal, because this animal, Brazilians love this animal as a pet. Actually, if I tell you a little bit of a history, when Brazil was let's say discovered by the Portuguese in the 1500s, they didn't find gold, they find nothing here, so they were just exporting the trees from Brazil, a tree that had ink that was very important for dyeing clothes and everything. And the tree was called the Brazil tree. That's why Brazil is the only country that has the name of a tree. And the other thing that they were taking to Europe were parrots. So they loved the parrots. The parrots could talk, and they loved it. So this becomes a problem because nowadays everybody wants to have a parrot, and it has a lot of trafficking and everything. So Caiman is also an area that protects these animals, and you have also some nests that were found and some now that she is installing. So we are trying to promote conservation and education for people about how to protect this animal because it's complicated. Next one. Well, on Safari, which is the Jaguar project, this is actually what really transformed Caiman. It made Caiman became very well known. What happened was that 15 years ago, I was approached by Mario Haberfeld, the founder of this project, and he said, Roberto, I would like to install inside your ranch because I think that Caiman has been working so well into protecting its biodiversity. And I think that, we have many jaguars inside Caiman, but we cannot see them. And Mario Haberfeld, I learned this, that you can develop a project of habituating jaguars to vehicles, the same way as they do it in Africa with the leopards. And as he knew Londolozi in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, he knew the owners, I know the owners, and he brought the idea and he started to habituate these jaguars to vehicles. And until that time, it was actually very rare to spot a jaguar. They were very timid. And nowadays, after 15 years, it's incredible what we have achieved there. Now these animals are there. We can actually see them almost every day, and they feel relaxed. Actually, we humans, we are in cage, and the animals are free now because I built a fence around the lodges and around where my people work. And the animals are outside and the people are inside. And this is fantastic because you have this possibility of encountering these animals that 15 years ago, it was very difficult to see them. Caiman, I would say that nowadays is like a sanctuary for these animals. And for most of the animals there, like hyacinth macaw, as I explained, the giant anteater, tapirs, jaguars. And so it's you feel when you see the animals, you feel that they are relaxed. They know that they are not threatened inside Caiman. And actually, one of the reasons for that was that 25 years ago, I said I don't want to have dogs inside the ranch. Dogs were a complication because the cowboys in the ranch, they used to work with dogs. They would go into the fields to take care of the cattle, always with dogs. And the dogs would chase the animals, hunt the animals. And I said, no, this is not good. So that's prohibited the presence of dogs, and we achieved that. And because of that, the animals started to come nearer and nearer and nearer the people that we now have. And also, I had to change the culture of the place because when I started this idea of creating, let's say, the new project in 1985, my extended family, now my cousins and uncles and everybody, they said, hey, you are completely crazy. You are going to change the Pantanal. You are going to bring different cultures into the Pantanal, people that do not understand the way of life of the Pantanal, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do because I think that that's very beneficial for the Pantanal. But I had also to change the mentality of the people that worked for the ranch. And so I approached them and I said, guys, from now on, we're going to have a different kind of, let's say, understanding of this whole environment. I know that you love the Pantanal and everything, but you have to be less aggressive towards wildlife. You have to understand that your jobs now, they depend on the relationship that we have established or will establish with wildlife, with biodiversity. And this was a project that took some time to change the mentality and everything, but it was something incredible. Incredible because nowadays what you see is, guys that used to work as farm hands or ranch hands and everything became guides, bilingual guides that do not work at Caiman, but are working worldwide. This is just incredible. It's amazing. Well, finally, Julio showed you the project with a giant anteater. We have built a clinic there, just inaugurated this year, a clinic for animals that might be affected by fires or that we found in roads because lots of cars, they just kill these animals on the roads in the outside the Pantanal. It's terrible. So we have a clinic to try to recuperate these animals there. So this is incredible. The next project is the primate project, which is a project that basically, through the movement of these animals, we're trying to understand the areas that have more resilience to fires, because fires are the big problem of the Pantanal. And let's go for the next one. We have this whole set of projects that we are developing in the Pantanal, but these are smaller projects, but it's quite interesting because, for instance, we have this wildlife monitoring study through audio recording with Cornell. So several projects that are being developed there, but don't have this kind of big image that all the others that I just showed you have. But they are adding to knowledge, all the knowledge that we are developing here. Next one. So this is the people. Just to tell you an interesting story. When I got my part of the previous ranch, only around 20 people work for the ranch. So for the hotel, sorry, and we had like 40 people working for the ranch, and nowadays we have 117 people working for the hotel and 30 people working for the ranch. And you see the proportion of men and women, how did it change, and the families would benefited from this kind of different activities. Now you had opportunities for the whole family, not only for the men. Next one. Próximo, Júlio. This is interesting, but it's a long story. But anyway, we are, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but we are supporting initiatives with indigenous communities that are nearby. Actually, what we're trying to do is to help them develop a better arts and crafts, always respecting their culture. But the arts and crafts that they are now doing there, because they are trying to restore their culture, it's not very good in terms of quality. So I found a person in Brazil that works with communities like that, and she is graduated from in Europe, in Milan, with arts and sceneries and everything. And she came to these tribes and she's helping them develop a better solution for their arts and crafts, adding different elements for the arts and crafts, showing them how to make them more durable and showing them how to charge. They did not know how to charge. So this is an interesting development that's going on with Caiman. Próximo. So this is basically now a little bit of the threats that the Pantanal is suffering. You can see that because of climate change, temperature has been rising lately, and we are seeing a very complicated scenario for the future in the Pantanal. Next one. The Pantanal has lost like 60% of, let's say, the surface of the Pantanal that is covered by water since 1985. This is terrible because what you see here is that the area is becoming drier, and this is what affects the whole system, because I explained to you that the Pantanal is based on the cycle of the waters. So if you have less waters, you have big problems, especially because you have more biomass that is drying. And in some areas that don't have too much cattle there, this biomass is growing. And what happens is that you have wildlife fires. And this has been happening since 2020. And then we had the largest wildlife fire in the Pantanal was in 2020, when more or less 30% of the Pantanal was affected by this, and nobody was prepared. Government was not prepared. They spent money unwisely. Everybody was just lost in the middle of this crisis. Caiman had a fire in 2019. I think actually we were the first ones to experience this wildlife fires. And so this thing started to get worse and worse and worse because of climate change, because of the drought, because of the amount of biomass in most of the areas in the Pantanal, and because that, this is an example of stupidity. When I was a kid, when I remember the Pantanal, after the rains, the cowboys would go and burn the pasture because that was the right way to do it, to prevent the accumulation of biomass during the dry season. So if you burn it after the rains, that would be wonderful. And so this was the way of doing the whole thing in the Pantanal. But then one day, some ecologists or some government officials, they thought that the fire was alien to the Pantanal, completely stupid, and they prohibited this practice, and then the whole thing started to happen. These three images, they showed areas that were burned in Caiman, and what you see is 2019, the areas that are in blue are the ones that were burned, and as you see, 2024 was the most terrible year that we had in Caiman. Actually 80% of the whole property was burned because of a fire that started 40 kilometers away to the north, and it came down and just went through Caiman in 2 days, and it burned the whole thing. So now finally the government is allowing us to go back to the ancient practices of burning after the rain. And now we're trying to do that a little bit late, but we're trying to do that in order to protect or become more resilient and to adapt to the Pantanal. But after all these experiences, I also started to think about how can I develop, let's say, more resilience into the Pantanal. And so first thing, I wanted to build more wells and boreholes, and I wanted to. I saw what happened there during the fires, and you can see here a drainage pipe, and you can see here the jaguar inside the drainage pipe, and the animals were so terrified, so tense because of the fires that they went into these drainage pipes to protect themselves. So I had the idea, well, why not installing areas like this, creating protected areas like this, where I'm going to install several pipes. I'm going to build, let's say, a borehole inside, fresh water for these wild animals, and I'll fence it against the cattle outside. The cattle has its water itself. And so I started developing this. I already have like 7, I think so. And then I started to build more, as I said, more wells, build ponds in order to increase the amount of water in the property, more humidity, more roads. And when we see here supplementation in 2024, it means that because the place was completely burned, we had to supplement for the herbivores food, and the hotel was closed for 2 months, and we transformed the kitchen of the hotel into a kind of zoo kitchen, and we were supplementing these animals all over the ranch because when you look at the place, it was terrible. What is amazing is that 1 year after, you could not recognize the areas that were burned unless you saw the trunk of the big trees and everything. But the rest was green, totally green. So the capacity of recuperation of the Pantanal is amazing. But I mean, we cannot have fires of this size every year. Huh? So again, I'm trying more and more and more to develop this, let's say, resilience into the property. And finally, I think that this is what I am so proud of. You can see Caiman here in the Júlio, bota o cursor aqui. You can see Caiman here. And then a friend of mine came and bought a ranch. Bota o cursor na Santa Teresa aqui, na RPPN da Teresa. She bought this ranch here. And she said, Roberto, we need to buy the ranch that is in between Caiman and my ranch, which is Santa Sofia, Ponho Santa Sofia, this area here. And I said, yes, let's try to find somebody that wants to buy this area. So if we buy it, we can turn it into a protected area, no ranching there, and we can start this huge ecological corridor. And she did that. She found the investors. We bought it. Nowadays, the Jaguar project is managing this area. So it connects everything, and it will connect the area that I will leave as a legacy. It connects the whole of Caiman, but the area of the legacy will connect directly into all these areas. And then finally, we said, well, we have this huge area that now is protected between you, my neighbor, and myself. Why not invite all our neighbors, different neighbors, like-minded people that want to protect the Pantanal? And basically, we think the same way. We think that we have to adapt our businesses to the Pantanal and not the Pantanal to our businesses. And so we looked around and we found a lot of neighbors that understood and agreed. They will continue to have cattle ranching or lodges or this or that, but they have this principle in mind. So we created this area of almost 400,000 hectares. It's what? More than 800,000 acres of land that is all private. It's all under this institution that we created called 5Ps. And we have this as a model for the rest of the Pantanal that we, private sector, we can show and we can give a big example for other areas. For the government, we have no let's say, government institutions inside, no help from the government. It's just all private. So I think this is the big legacy that Caiman, in a way, left, because my friend, when she bought that ranch there, she was inspired by what I had developed have been developing at Caiman for the last 40 years. So this is really fantastic. I think that é isso, né?
Thank you, Roberto. You didn't see, but I had tears of emotion because I admire you and what you've done for everything, for the planet, for Cayman. If everybody could do, you imagine what one man is doing? You imagine? We would change the world if more people like you would do the same, huh?
A lot
So,
of people are doing this. A lot of people. We
yes,
find
but not at your
everywhere.
size, not at this size. Enfin, that's for my belief, huh? Alors, what percentage of clients, Céline, you saying bonjour. Roberto, what percentage of clients are outside Brazil? Ah, no, this is you. What is the minimum number of days one should spend on the property?
Well, it depends. During the high season, we normally have stays of 4 nights or 3 nights. So we normally work in this process of having specific dates to come in, get out, come in, get out. So this is normally the best way to stay there, you know. And
Yeah.
how one gets there? You fly from São Paulo to Campo Grande, which is the capital of the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, and then you charter a small plane or you get into a van and you drive. If you drive, it's around 4 hours. If you fly, it's around 50 minutes, and you land inside Cayman because we have an airstrip there.
Yeah, perfect. I was there like last month, huh? Actually, we stayed there for 3 nights, which was still lovely, huh? Alors, Larry, yes, you will get a copy of the recording. Roxana, you said this was inspiring. So we are.
Yes, well, a regular trip normally, as I said, it's about going out. It's kind of a safari experience.
Mhm.
It's a safari experience from Africa into Brazil. I think that we were talking before this webinar. I was talking with Dominique, and I said that it's amazing because it's the discovery of a new continent, of new ways of discovering this continent through a safari way of visiting the area. For instance, Americans, you are so near, the south part of America, and we don't have a problem with the timing and everything. It's just arriving in São Paulo and flying to this place and then moving to Cayman. I think that if you have been to Africa, if you have been to India, you saw jaguar, you saw a leopard, you saw lions, you saw tigers, then you come to South America to see jaguars. And at this moment, Cayman is one of the best places in South America to see jaguars. Through the way that we develop. I mean, going after the animals and on jeeps that resemble very much what you have in Africa, all this kind of things. But basically, is to come to Cayman. You have an outing in the morning, an outing in the afternoon. You have activities at night, and it's basically that. It's for people that enjoy nature.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful. I've done a beautiful, I think, reel and took a lot of video. And when I posted, I said it is my video. I didn't want anybody to feel it was AI, but it was a reality. The jaguar were passing in front of the car. They would look few seconds and then mind their own business and continue. I had never seen this before. Huh? So, and the food
And
is amazing. We don't speak about the food, but I think the food is amazing. For so many things to love. Huh? So let's
oh,
see. Oh, sorry, Julia, you said your husband and I honeymooned at Cayman 24 years ago. We loved it. 24 years ago. All right.
yeah, it
And
has changed a lot.
Lily, she said she's so impressed by this product, but she's wondering how you can afford the investment. So we'll move on. Yuli, you said, wow, those colors. So bravo, Dominique, for this presentation. But I'm, honored to be able to present Cayman more than usual because usually I saw the resort, but now you have really the feel, the passion, the heart beating behind Cayman, Roberto. Uli, you wanted to know what are these plants? So I think you mentioned with this picture where the trees were pinkish, huh? I suppose.
Oh yeah, yeah. When the trees are pink, they become pink. Normally, let's say when we start winter, it's kind of it's a by chance. Because normally they stay for just a week and then they
Oh,
all fall.
wow.
But sometimes we have them in June, July, or August. It's
Mhm.
around that time.
Lily, you also say, Roberto, you're amazing. Thank you in uppercase. Sylvia, you said, this is amazing, uppercase. Julia, amazing work. I really appreciate your detailed explanation. The passion really shows
Thank you.
through. Uli, oh, wow, Len, again, can't believe that there is hope for wildlife and the planet. Obrigada. Voilà. You see, we can all do a small difference. It all adds up.
For
Exactly.
sure, for
Uh,
sure.
So you already mentioned how to get there. It took me less than 4 hours. Huh? It was more three something by car, and it's a lovely road. Huh? And then I think if you go to Bonito, it's even closer, huh? Rather than
So
Campo
Bonito
Grande.
is 2 hours and a half
Two
from Cayman.
hours and a half.
And,
Yeah.
and talking about seasons, I would say that, well, my preferred season goes from April to July. This is my preferred season.
Yeah.
Why? Because sometimes you still have water in the fields because the rains they come from they start around December and they end in March, April, and then they start to go down to and they dry, and then you still have this the presence of water, which makes a lot of difference, and the colors are beautiful. The sky is beautiful, so I love this. And then you have the
I
dry
love to.
season. The dry season is very interesting, very dry, very warm. But normally it's the time when they say that you will see more mammals. Okay,
Voilà. So yes, Sylvia, you're asking the activity. So we go in the morning or in late afternoon for a safari. The rest of the time you can have maybe mini conference or you can visit the institute. There is so much to do. I can actually send you the itinerary I had for 3 days. It was a fun trip. So it was packed. It was really, really nice. So, and we will send, of course, the recording and you can contact us, but we will also put in touch with the director of sales and the team. Huh? Voilà. Sylvia wants to know if February works. Huh? I think could work.
February can work, but it might be very wet, very warm, because it's the, let's say, it's the peak of the rainy season. Hopefully, we had. Unfortunately, nowadays because of the climate change, we cannot predict exactly when the rains will come. But normally, it should be a good time, but only for people that are more prepared for heat and for let's say water everywhere. So I don't know. Maybe Europeans are now better suited for this now because of the heat there. No? 40 degrees, my God. So 40 degrees will be the temperature in the Pantanal around February. 40 degrees is around what 104 Fahrenheit, more or less.
So shortest time would be 4 days. 3 nights, 4 days would be the shortest, definitely. But you can stay longer because we have not even talked to you about the water, the pirogues or the canoe trips. We did so much. There is a lot to do. But I'm happy myself to send you what we have done. Huh? Voilà. So yeah. So you need an extension for 1 week in February, Sylvia. Yeah. Please send us the dates and we will work on it. Huh? Thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you so much, Roberto. And that was inspiring again to listen to it. I thought I heard a little bit of it during the farm trip. That's what I wanted to invite you on this webinar today, because it's much more than selling the rooms, the property, or great food, or the safari. The story is beautiful. And thank you for
Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you. And thank you, Dominique. Dominique, I think you're the most professional person I have ever known. So it's amazing how you love this work. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
But it's thanks to people like you that I love this work. I would not be passionate if I had a so-so property with a so-so owner. I mean, look what you do. Huh? So no, I'm proud. That's a different position. Huh? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you,
Thank you,
Roberto.
everyone. Love you.
Bye-bye, Dominique.
Bye-bye.
Obrigado,
Bye.
Júlio.
Bye.